말세 타도를 외쳐봅시다. 말세님 타도를 외쳐봅시다.
왜? 참고로 대전에 내가 I think game 2 I evolved into a hand that was like a little bit better and then drew absolute garbage.
오늘 14명이에요.
어?
10명.
10명.
내가 10명. That happens sometimes. 10명 10명이야. 20명이야. I expect you to be better against player than I am. You know, the second game was easy. Sometimes you just
Welcome back to another Monday Night Legacy. We're playing with two fair blue decks today. Inhyeok starting the day off with a nice roll of 2. And that'll put our Deathblade player on our left on the play. He normally plays fast keeps by everybody. That's great. And we're just going to get to a good old-fashioned Ponder, Deathrite, Brainstorm, Leovold kind of match. And both players are basically going to 2 for 1 and then eventually end up with like an overwhelming board state based on whoever ended up with more cards. Actually, I guess if I put it that way, it sounds pretty boring, huh? But I love these matchups. They're sick.
Some.
I know that Sanghwa probably only has a cap of 2 wastelands in his deck right now. Inhyeok probably about the same, although we see one in his hand here. It's interesting that he straight up brainstorms very early in the game. It's difficult to defend an action like that because it's hard to know exactly what you're searching for yet. And he's tapping out to do it. I mean, I would much prefer to see like fetch, wait for something to happen, brainstorm, fetch, you know?
Sorry.
Wow, guys. All right. Oh my god. Actions like that make me a little skeeved out, guys, because I don't know how many cards you put back the first time. I don't know how many you put in your hand. Just be very precise when you do it. Sanghwa is setting up for a turn 3 true name here. It looks like he didn't have earlier action like Stoneforge. Nobody happened to have a turn 1 Deathrite. And this is where he just passes the turn on turn 2 without access to the brainstorm. I mean, what was he actually looking for?
있어? 트루네임?
그렇습니다. 포스 나오시나요?
I expect this to be Trop true name, but it might be Tundra true name. He's passed over some. Okay. Both players respecting Wasteland quite a bit here. If it doesn't hurt your hand, then I like it. But I do also like just sort of reading the situation on these fair blue matchups, that you can go for a really greedy mana base early and then just continue to make your land drops. A wasteland here and there after this point in the game isn't going to matter. Ooh, and a fatal push on the Strix is a win for Sanghwa. He got his card out of it. There's a green source, so this makes me think that it's a Leovold. But it's double black as well, so he could have a Liliana here, although that doesn't seem likely because it would just immediately die to a true name. Oh, he had the natural main deck edict, and I think he also had force to protect it, so Inhyeok's opening here is quite nice. I can't say that I like Tasigur in this, but I know that it's a reasonable card that gets played. Yeah, he had the force backup for the Diabolic Edict.
다 싫어?
I think he has to take Lily here unless he has a clean answer, in which case I would probably take Baleful Strix and then leave him with the force. But it's going to be difficult to remove a Tasigur here. He's immune to Fatal Push and Abrupt Decay.
True name?
And now at this point in the game, despite me being a little underwhelmed by both players' choices. Oh, okay, so he plays the true name straight into a Force of Will. So we'll see if he has the... I mean, a Daze here would be backbreaking, but I don't think he plays them. Certainly representing a nice Daze. But from Inhyeok's position, he can't afford to let this go. He has to kind of walk into it. Yeah, because he can't rely on just getting a Snapcaster for that Edict very soon. So it appears that Sanghwa put him to task, knowing that he had the Force, but he traded and got a 2-for-1 for his true name anyway. So 4 mana, bounce your what? Oh, sword. Yeah, sure. I was thinking that was a fetch for the 4th mana, cast a Jason, bounce tasker. But the sword is much better here. And there's the Stoneforge we're thinking about. Now Inhyeok is very low on resources. He's lost all the good cards out of his hand. He doesn't have any interaction left. And the Stoneforge could likely... Yeah, the Sword of Fire and Ice is backbreaking here. I think that the sword is going to run away with the game. Is this Stoneforge cast? Oh, he cast this the sword. Sure. And now we'll see if we can get it equipped and in there. Strange. He's representing Batterskull now. Yeah. So the no equip attack on last turn told Inhyeok that there was definitely a Batterskull there. And now he's going to have a really hard time here. And just go ahead and equip and bash and it'd probably win the game, yeah? Yeah, he accidentally played that Ponder kind of like a Brainstorm, but Inhyeok saw that his card on the left never really moved, so... Casual, Rel, please encourage everybody to not make mistakes like that. But the Batterskull wearing a Sword of Fire and Ice is going to do this game in, and the late, but apparently just on time Stoneforge just takes it down. The card advantage generated there was way too much, especially because Inhyeok basically used all of his resources that game, taking care of 2 true names. Neither of which ended up mattering, but of course you can't let it sit there anyway, so. We saw 1 Wasteland out of Inhyeok. I saw 0 out of Sanghwa. If I'm Inhyeok here, I'm probably going to fetch all duels. Just to get it. So, I can't be entirely sure, but I mean, I think unless Sanghwa said Swamp Thoughtseize, then I feel like we can't be like immediately exposing our hand before our opponent finishes searching for a land. Know what I mean? Thoughtseize takes down the Hymn, which turn 2 is going to be pretty valuable here. And he might just keep this Brainstorm up, but I see the argument for slamming down a second Deathrite and just really getting on the board. He's seen your hand anyway, so that there's no reason to be super secretive. And we can't imagine that the first Deathrite is going to survive forever.
진짜 아파.
이거 좀
Deathrite makes his first activation. And please don't fetch just a brainstorm. Why? You're fetching for a blue source, obviously, because you're brainstorming, but I don't see why you are brainstorming. In a long, protracted game like this, with two... why are we doing this? I feel like he's just continually losing value on his very important cantrips. Brainstorm not being a cantrip, actually. Brainstorm being a hand fixer. So the reason that he brainstormed there was he was looking for his third land, which he apparently did not hit. And he really wanted to cast a 3-drop, I suppose. I still feel like he tossed away a bit of a brainstorm there. If he had drawn during his main phase, we would have been 3 cards deeper when he went to look for the land. And then when we played it, we still would have been able to hit a 3-drop with Deathrite. Anyway, he brainstorm locked himself on purpose.
아, 업투 해. 덤벼 씨발. 예, 같이 먹을 거야.
So Leovold pops out, makes Liliana pretty bad. Now Sanghwa goes searching for a way to kill a bunch of Deathrites.
핸드가 그득하네 우리 상황.
And in Inhyeok's position here, I'm not sure if he has any 1-drops to cast at end of turn using Deathrite's ability, but actually now that I think of it, there's nothing that's going to be in the Deathblade's player's hand that's or his entire deck rather, that's going to use the graveyard like delve cards. So probably just leave everything. And this is a guaranteed blowout. There's no reason to have done that.
하나 죽어?
Oh, I really dislike that block.
이게 진짜 너 성우가 진짜 오랜만에 본다.
If Lily can just, I don't know, maybe it was worth it for him to preserve Lily's hit points.
핸드.
Maybe engineered explosives for 3 here is, let's do it. Engineered explosives for 3. I want to see it. Now he has shown his intention of casting an engineered explosives. Then he, I don't know. Plus with no target. That was a better move anyway while he has priority. Although honestly in Legacy there's very little that just like destroys target planeswalker at instant speed when you forget to use stuff on your main phase. And he decides to go for 2. So the Leovold is safe here. And Lily can take a hit, no problem. We don't have to give up this poor Deathrite, which was our only clock and our only action.
여기가 너무 안 좋다. 처음에 소트가 너무 컸어.
So
근데 다 털리고.
I like the Stoneforge here simply because he always replaces himself with a card, and he's going to force Inhyeok to blow his explosives.
아 이거 뭐 병신 같은 경우야 이거.
Unfortunate to have knocked the tablet a little bit. If he plays this Leovold, we gotta always remember to target each other and each other's permanents during their main phase, right?
핸드.
Sanghwa goes ahead and gets rid of his brainstorm while he can.
손좀 봐봐.
Seems a little loose. Just like value surgical that doesn't really do anything. The only thing he's doing here is checking the contents of the hand. The hand is good. It's a batter skull. It's
아 그래?
what, Gideon?
그 소트 자리를
Gideon really good in these matchups. And a Baleful Strix. And if the glare fades for a second. Oh, a true name. Sanghwa's hand is stacked.
씨발 뭐가 나와야 이거.
제가 껐다고 형이 한번 좀 컷해주세요.
해?
브레인스톰.
포스가
아니요. 그냥 브레인스톰.
아.
홍대니까.
나와?
네.
아 잠시만.
Now we got a good old-fashioned Leovold staring match.
컴뱃 들어가 있습니다.
Interesting. Interesting. I won't be surprised to see a true name here. Yep. Now explosives is active, but I doubt that. I was gonna say that Sanghwa wasn't going to take down his 2 mana. Aha! The kicked marsh casualties. Sanghwa is still going to end up with a batter skull here.
스택사 꼭 패치할게요.
배터스컬?
네.
그래야 얘를 마이너스를 시킬 수 있거든. 괜찮아.
그래도 살아요.
어? 그러니까 상관없어.
아 그래야지 2점이구나.
그리고 지금 얘 데미지를 못 입혀 버리면. 괜찮아 지금.
그러네요.
데미지를 못 입혀 버리면.
네.
지금 내가 할 수 있는 건 이거밖에 없어. 기디온 빨아.
아까 신맛.
So I'm calling this bug control instead of pile. He's not playing Volcanic Islands, which makes this matchup much harder for him because he doesn't have Kolaghan's command. It just seems like Sanghwa can outgrind with Deathblade here, and it might just be a better place to be. It's nice to have all the same good cards as each other, plus 1 color, right?
사랑해요.
기디온.
과장님이 만들어주신 토큰 세요.
ruling the castle.
마이너스. 어우.
Minuses and gets a Snapcaster in his hand.
이게 의미가 있나? 대량 학살? 근데 만화가
He's got Verdant Catacombs in hand, so he can actually... No. He cannot snap Marsh Casualties. He can... He can crack his explosives, and then... Would very slowly die to a Batter Skull? He's got no way of dealing with it. I guess he'll wait until...
They go to another place to party.
It just seems like he's just way too far behind, and he doesn't have the valuable artifact destruction that access to red mana gets.
플러스 넣겠습니다. 전투. 영치 나머지 다 이거예요.
핸드. 아, 그 걔네 그거 아니야?
얘네는 스코프, 얘는 뭐냐? 네, 터졌습니다.
어차피 올렸다 다시 깔을 수도 있으니까. 근데 잠깐만.
This Gideon's looking really impressive too.
먹으려고 하는데. 블루. 나올까?
네,
타겟은 부패 잡을게.
네,
방어자 지정하려고 하는데.
네,
지정.
네.
뿅.
오케이.
다시 죽고.
Snap Decay, do what you gotta do.
왜 오자?
어?
We gotta hope to...
투네임.
No, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't know what combination of cards could come off the top.
People are always like,
Nope.
Can you just draw the 4th Deathrite Shaman? It's not what he needs here.
플러스 이 새끼야 해.
통 끝에 올리겠습니다. 도로.
Yeah, so without the Gideon, we could have hoped for Force of Will and then just force the Batter Skull on its way back down. But with the Gideon and the Batter Skull, I don't see how to get rid of the major threat here.
라스트 오프.
no, never heard.
가시죠.
Where's our germ?
지금 나왔잖아. 아 지난 턴에.
네, 지난 턴에 나왔어.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
That ain't it. Yeah. He's gonna give her up,
아.
and I'm assuming, I mean, just snap again? Or Leovold.
의미가 없을 것 같은데 더 이상.
But I don't, I mean, as amazing as that is,
네,
해?
기디온 궁 치겠습니다.
아하.
이장은 이걸로 할게요.
Boo, Sanghwa, get
Gideon goes down and we make ourselves an emblem. The Batter Skull is very threatening. Unfortunately, I can't see what the life total is because we knocked our tablet down, but I think he's getting pretty low here. I wish I Usually I tape that tablet down to the table.
거기 닌자스 먹으려고 하는데.
제가 먼저 먹겠습니다.
어?
세용.
나올까?
네?
Wow. You do what you gotta do. He rips another land, and at this point I just... Oh no. I would concede to the Snapcaster.
Just
Yeah. That matchup made Stoneforge look absolutely... I don't know, what's a good term here? It's ball crunching? How about that? I don't know. I think the Deathblade isn't all that strong when so many players have Kolaghan's commands going around. But this purely bugless just doesn't have anything to deal with it. And the artifacts won every single game. Well done, Sanghwa. Good job, dude.
중간 딸기 하나 빠져서 상황이 어떻게 될지 몰랐을 텐데 소트가 돼 있거든요.
힘드네. 한 번 더 해볼까?